out of the box, out of the whatever we want to call it. We have, so close, Rings. So technically, this is the third chapter of the Rings for America. Does this equal out to Spiral that happened in Japan? Let's find out. So Rings, what's about? It's a very simple premise, actually. We have a college professor. I don't know why I did that for college professors, but a college professor who found the videotape of Samara. And he realizes, wait a minute, what if I do an experiment with a bunch of underground college kids? And somehow... Yeah, this movie's not good at all. I remember watching it the first time. I had a movie website back in high school. I think this came out in 20. Well, this came out in 2017. That's not high school. God, I'm stupid. Anyway, I remember watching this movie and trying to be a defender of it, saying like, yeah, it's not that bad of a film. But rewatching it, watching all the Rings, the Japan ones, and this one back to back to back, this one makes zero sense at the same time. Yes, it opens up pretty strong. So that's why we're going to continue on with the positives now. It starts off strong. I don't care what anyone says. When you have the ring girl Samara coming out of TV screens on an airplane, yeah, it kind of felt Final Destination-ish and kind of cool. It really did. I was like, oh shit, we're going down. But then you realize it's only supposed to be for that one person. But then why all of a sudden there are bugs coming through the windows, and we just fuck shit up in this movie. And I do feel like it's a little odd that there's like no news articles about it. Like, someone should be like, hey, red flag, there's a huge plane coming out of the sky. We're not going to talk about this anymore. But it's a movie. It's a freaking movie. So let's talk about what else is good about the movie. I think the acting and the look of the movie is actually not that bad. There are some good elements to it. Like, there's a scene where the TV's down, Samara lifts up the screen, and she comes out of the screen that way. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. There's new footage that she has to look at. Is the footage as good as Gore Verbinski's? Absolutely not. But there are some interesting elements to it. Overall, it just felt way too PG-13 for what I was getting myself into. So, and then the very end about Samara's father, it makes no freaking sense. This whole story of the ring and Ring You, the more you think about it, it just doesn't make sense. Now you'll get the American version about the father doing the thing to Samara, but I thought it was the mother going into it, unless now it's the mother-father relationship doing it together, and where the ring actual is at in this one, and you look at the other ones, it still doesn't make sense about what is happening. I understand this whole thing is about, Samara looking up at the well and can like do psychedelic powers and make it into videotapes, and now we're in a realm where she can now connect to IMAX? I don't know. And I'm going to continue on with the negatives. It's just popping up in my head left and right. The whole point of this story is for this professor to get these students to understand this legend, but you don't dissect into that of what the students are actually trying to do or what the college professor is going to do, because, spoiler alert, they decide to kill him off halfway through the movie. So now you're like, that storyline is dead. Now we're going back to the whole Samara, where she came from storyline, which was kind of like the first and second Ring. So technically, Rings is like a 2.5 episode or 2.5 movie when you think about it, because it wants to be on its own storyline of like, oh, college professor experiments. We're going to dig deeper into what Samara really does. But then when you dig deep more, then when you actually think about what is happening, you're like, that storyline is just put on the back burner. This random one about this old priest who rapes people and did bad shit to Samara, and then goes blind because he knows he fucked up with Samara. But then the mother-father relationship with Samara literally makes no sense the more you think about it and dissect it, and thinking like, what's the whole point of that? And it just doesn't work. It's one of the things where you watch and you just go, none of this makes sense. None of this is making sense. It's a lot of cool imagery on scene, but when you dissect what is actually happening, it just doesn't make sense. So when watching this one, Ring 2 unrated, and Rings back to back to back, I would have to say Rings is a little bit better than Ring 2. And the reason I say that is actually feels more competently made. It feels like there's actually a budget behind it. It felt like there were some good elements to it, and it wasn't as boring as Ring 2. However, they're probably going to receive the same score. So Rings will receive a 1 out of 5 with Futon, which equals at 20%. Let's see what the critics' news scores gave this one. So you have Rings, an 8% with the critics, with 115 of them. Audience score 23% with over 10,000. Here's critic consensus. Rings may offer ardent fans of the franchise a few threadbare thrills, but for everyone else, it may feel like an endless loop of muddled mythology and rehashed plot points. I mean, that critic consensus is pretty spot on. 20, 23, 8. Chase out with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of Futontopia. You Pluftonians. Thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day. Now the question is, does this stay on the shelf? Or is it eBaying it up? Probably not going to sell for diddly shit.